In this video, we're just going to go into a bit more detail on some of the parameters on the samples page here. So first of all, we're going to look at sample categories and visualization. Now we know about the categories. This is where we can choose to randomize within a category of different samples, but let's talk a little bit about the icons we have here. So let's choose the first category, which is synths. Now we randomize within here. Now we can see the icon which represents synths, and you can see that here as well, and at the bottom here. So what the synths represent is samples recorded using analog and digital synthesizers with varying degrees of articulation and processing included within the sample, so basically baked into the sound. So let's actually just set these all to be synths, and let's randomize here. So that's playing back chords that have samples of synthesizers layered. Just to give you an idea. So whenever you see this icon, it's the synth that we're talking about. Now what we could of course do is use the category down here if we link it. So let's do it that way next. So the next thing we're going to look at is instruments. So if we now randomize, it's going to randomize within the category of instruments. Now this is samples recorded using instruments from all over the world, including treated samples processed to add depth and movement. So let's try playing back the same chords. So it's got a very nice organic quality to it. So it's kind of real instruments, obviously very, very processed. Okay, so let's jump across and look at bass. So whenever we see this kind of icon here, or this kind of image, in terms of the cube, we're going to be talking about bass sounds. So you can create some quite interesting kind of textures that way using bass. Normally you wouldn't layer, obviously, chords made up of bass notes, but doing it this way with the kind of textual contrast of the different sounds can actually yield some quite interesting results. So the next option we have here is voices. So whenever we see this kind of collection of bubbles, this is going to be the voices sound. This is samples based on vocal recordings from vowels to spoken word and singing. In most cases, the recordings are going to be heavily processed. It's kind of a theme through this plugin. It's a very processed sound, which is very cool. So very interesting, again, with all those effects layered on there as well. Now let's just try an experiment here. Let's actually take the effects out of the equation. So we click on the little power button here, we can actually bypass all the effects. Let's just hear this without the effects on there. So now you can actually hear a lot more the sound, kind of the individual samples essentially. Now let's try that with the previous categories as well. So we'll link, let's put it onto bass. Instruments. And then synths. So without the effects on, you can actually hear it a little bit more in terms of the raw sound. Right, so now we've got noises. So whenever we get this kind of fuzzy looking shape here, this is going to give us noises. So let's again listen to this with the effects off. It's kind of Foley sound. Really cool. And then we've got all the factory settings if we wanted to randomize using all of them. Put the effects back on. So you can really hear how much of a big part the effects play within the presets of Playbox. But that is a categorization, just to give you an idea of what these icons mean, and obviously how we can randomize as well. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the mixer settings next. So they're located in the top right hand corner here. Now the mixer settings enable you to be able to adjust level, stereo position, i.e. the pan, and also the octave for each one of the cubes. You can also use automatic settings for both volume and octave, which can help you find the best and most balanced sound for any of the given set of samples. So let's have a look at the controls that we have here. So first of all, let's have a look at the settings selector. So we have 3 here, volume, pan, and octave. So this allows you to select what's going to be adjusted essentially. So let's click onto volume. So this is basically going to allow you to adjust the level of the sample from silence basically to plus 24 dB. And you can see we have a slider here set to unity gain. So the default is just the gain of the sample as it was. And then we could boost from here. So you can hear that getting louder. Or we can turn it right down. So you've got the ability to adjust the level as you see fit. We can reset that by clicking on this little kind of eraser tool here. Okay, so next up we have pan. Now this is going to adjust the stereo position. So we can go minus 100 or plus 100, and that's going to be left or right. So you can hear there. So you can adjust each sample so you get a nice stereo width if that's what you're looking for. Again, reset like so. And then we have octave. So here we can adjust the transposition of each sample in a range of -6 to +6 octaves. So it really changes the sound quite drastically by pushing different samples into different areas of the register in terms of their pitch. Now we also have this automatic setting here, as I said. This is going to automatically set the, in this case, octave, and also the level if we choose the little A next to volume. That's basically going to automatically try and work out what the best octave position for the samples is and the best level. So if we click on this, you'll see it's automatically set it now. So we use these buttons here to select what we're going to change, and then we go on to the cube itself to change the individual value for that cube, and we can use command and click to reset as well. Okay, let's have a look at the spread mode next. Now the spread mode allows you to basically apply the samples located in one of your chords to all of the chords within the progression. So let's try this Wolves Awaken one here. So now they all sound pretty similar, so let's try something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to all, and I'm going to link it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the settings quite drastically for this chord here, as you can see there. So now I can do it a few times. Okay, so now it's very different to the others. We've got bass there, some of them are the same, but we'll leave it like that. Okay, so what I could now do is, let's listen to it on its own. So it definitely sounds different. Now, if I click on this little button underneath here, it's going to apply those samples to the other chords. Now, you'll notice that for these last 3 chords, we didn't have 4 samples for those chords, so it hasn't added this one in here. But you'll hear now. We've got those same chords applied. Now, what we can do is permanently basically kind of print this onto the patch. So we can say apply, and now we've chosen to kind of keep that setting essentially. So if we hadn't pressed apply and we switched spread off again, let's do it on another one. So let's just randomize this chord here. Okay, and we'll click on spread here to see it's applied them all. But if we took this off again, it would go back. So until we press apply, it's not going to actually permanently add those samples on there essentially. So you can basically audition it and see if you like it and then choose to keep it or not. Now there are various different keyboard shortcuts we can use within the samples page, which can be quite useful. So first of all, to randomize the samples within a respective cube, you can click with command on the cube, and it's going to randomize within our chosen category. Copy and paste the sound. What we can do is select the first cube, hold down shift and click on a different cube, and it will copy and paste from that cube onto a different one. If we wanted to swap 2 cubes, let's say we want to swap this one with this one, what we can do is click on the first one, hold down option, click on the next cube, or the cube you want to swap with, and you see they're now swapped. So we can do that as well. So that's quite just useful shortcuts we can use within this page. Now, something to mention is that you can import your own samples into Playbox, and we're going to treat that as its own category later on in the video series. So we will revisit that. Okay, so that concludes the look at the samples page here. So in this video, we had a look at the different icons that are used for the different sounds. We also had a look at the mixer settings up here. So remember, you can click on the different aspects you want to change and then go onto each respective cube and change the either volume, pan or octave. Automatic is designed to find the best setting there. The spread control allows you to basically spread out the sample sets for a given chord across all the chords, and you have to apply that to basically kind of permanently use that. If not, it just auditions it for you, and if you deselect it, it will switch it off again. Remember some useful shortcuts: Command click to kind of just scroll within a chord to find different sounds, Shift click, copy one cube and take it to a different location, and Alt click was to swap one cube with another one. Okay, so now we've covered the samples page. In the next video, we're going to start looking at the effects page located here. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.